And just a quick recap for those of you who might be joining us right now. Here's what we know. We know that just before 5 o'clock, the former president's plane took off from Newark Airport, and he was en route to Atlanta, where he landed just before 7 o'clock. They pulled up a staircase to the plane. He exited off. He did not say anything, but he did get into one of those black SUVs that you just saw come by the screen there, and they made their way to the interstate. Now they were on Joseph E. Lowry, headed to the Fulton County Jail. And we know that since early this morning, there have been several hundred people, protesters, opponents, as well as other people waiting for him to come here. And we are just getting information right now that he has arrived at the Fulton County Jail. Former President Trump is arriving at the Fulton County Jail right now.
On August 24, 2023, the first ever former U.S. President, Donald J. Trump, was arrested. He was processed at the Fulton County Jail within 1 hour. So what awaits Donald Trump if he is convicted and sent to the Fulton County Jail? You couldn't possibly imagine, and even if you could, you probably wouldn't want to. The first step is holding until you can be processed. Well, what's the process? First, a strip search.
Take that out. Take it out. Bend over. Hold the way. Hard. Harder.
What is that?
Something that was up her butt.
Then fingerprinting, then a medical screening, finally a mugshot, and then upstairs to your cell, if you're lucky enough to get one. Now, Donald Trump has completed some of these steps, but I imagine that if you are rearrested, as he would be were he to be convicted of the RICO charges, I'm sure he would have to go through all of these steps again, as Rudy Giuliani or Mark Meadows would, were they to be convicted. Now, make no mistake, regardless of your political affiliation, as an American, this is a sad day. To mention your leaders and potential convictions in the same sentence, this is woefully sad. But let me continue. So after you've been strip searched, fingerprinted, had a medical screening, and then had a mugshot taken, you'd be sent upstairs. Now, while on a normal television program, they would tell you that the facilities look like this.
Somebody step up here.
Clean your bed. Good stove though. Hey, let me get you. Man, you just up.
According to the actual news, your facilities can look like this.
On top of the Fulton Jail being way overcrowded, there are sections like this one here that they can't use or shouldn't use, and yet they had been used and part of the deplorable conditions. An inmate complains he needs to get out of the county jail to go see a judge. The sheriff, Pat Labatt, allowed the public to see inside.
Every inmate, every detainee, and every cell.
Labatt says he will look at every floor and talk to the inmates. Some continue to be curled up in doggy-style plastic trays due to overcrowding, and conditions made even worse because some of the jail sections cannot be used.
There's actually a leak behind the wall.
We saw cell doors off hinges, water from leaks, and other things we will not put on this broadcast. One inmate told Labatt he's not been able to shower since Saturday.
I came up here Saturday when we have.
And while this is atrocious, it only gets worse. The conditions at the Fulton County Jail, commonly known as Rice Street, are atrocious. And when I say atrocious, I mean atrocious. First of all, the Fulton County Jail was only designated and designed to hold up to 1,500 prisoners. Well, that hasn't been the number since it opened. Matter of fact, it currently holds approximately 2,950 prisoners, only slightly below the 3,000 mark because it has agreements to divert prisoners to other local jails by court order. Well, if you only have room for 1,500 people, but you need to house 2,950, what do? That's easy. You put them in boats. Not real boats, but rather plastic cots with blankets in place in common areas. Think about having a sleepover for weeks, months, or years in a large piece of heavy-duty Tupperware with a substandard blanket inside. That's a boat.
Some continue to be curled up in doggy-style plastic trays due to overcrowding.
And it gets worse. The entire prison is badly neglected. Doors, the thing that keeps prisoners in their cells, are off the hinges. The plumbing is so bad that there is standing water in common areas and the dry food storage, which causes food to rot. Some areas have entire hallways full of blind spots where the cameras either do not work or there are no cameras at all. And there is a major insect infestation. Bed bugs, cockroaches, and lice are rampant in this facility. The squalid conditions in this facility were exemplified by the death of LaShawn Thompson. Mr. Thompson was arrested on a misdemeanor assault charge and couldn't make bail. He also suffered from mental illness. He complained of the squalid conditions in his cell on the medical ward, but was ignored even though his complaint was echoed by a detention officer. But both the prisoner and his guards' entreaties were ignored. This resulted in him being found dead with his hair and body infested in lice and his body covered in bed bugs. They were found under his skin. He was literally eaten alive by insects.
Brad McRae says these pictures of his brother that he shared with us, 35-year-old LaShawn Thompson, are hard to look at. His cell at the Fulton County Jail covered in filth, and his body covered in sores and bites from bed bugs and lice.
Now, 38.4% of incarcerated people at this facility are there for minor infractions, for example, drug use, trespassing due to homelessness, and the like. But there are some violent criminals, as the facility has had 11 fires, 534 fights, 114 stabbings, and 2 murders in the last year. The facility is so dilapidated that one prisoner chipped his way through his cell's wall to enter another prisoner's cell in the middle of the night and murdered him. The physical plant is that dilapidated and can be that dangerous. Furthermore, the staff itself is corrupt, as a number of officers have become residents of the facility after being caught smuggling in drugs, carrying on sexual relationships with inmates, and one even arranging a murder of a detainee.
Yeah, guys, Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labatt tells me they started investigating after seeing a detainee here at the Fulton County Jail with lacerations and puncture wounds. He tells me that inmate actually tried hiding those injuries until someone spoke up. Sheriff Labatt says they are fortunate that inmate is still alive and that survived this case, but that's what led them to really look at surveillance video. I asked him if he could share that surveillance video with us. He told us since this case is under investigation, they are not able to release it just yet, but explains that it shows detention officer Reynard Trotman giving detainees access to an area where they assaulted another inmate. He says Trotman was the only one who was granted access to that area, and he then failed to help the assaulted inmate. Now he faces more than a dozen charges, including violation of oath by public officer, aggravated assault, and battery.
If Donald Trump or any of his alleged compatriots end up violating the terms of their bail, this is the facility in which they will be housed. If I were him, I wouldn't count on loyalty, because in the Fulton County Jail, it is literally every man and woman and insect for themselves. Hey, if you found this video to be informative, please smash that like button and hit subscribe. If you have a question or a comment like, hey, nice job, or I like your t-shirt, or a question about the video, please drop it below. I love answering your questions, so let me know what you think. Make sure to check out the other videos if you like this one, and take it easy. Peace.